Welcome on back.
Hello.
I am joined by my usual pawn.
Yep, just me. My name's Diana now. Hey, you want to know how my day went?
How so?
I started off this morning accidentally drinking coffee machine descaler.
Mmm.
That's how my morning started out.
Sounds delicious.
Well, I actually drank it 3 times because what happened was, first time was an accident. I made my coffee and then my coffee tasted like what burning plastic smells like.
Oh,
And I was
Jesus.
like, oh god, this is definitely wrong. So I went to clean the coffee machine.
Oh.
Oh dear.
This, just an aside, this gargoyle is a fucking prick.
Yeah, I think most flying enemies in like action games like this are complete pricks most of the time.
Yeah, he just does not let up.
You should have picked them up and thrown them in the ground. Can you do your usual pick up and throw thing with flying mons?
You can, but I don't think they take damage, or usually they recover before they hit the floor.
That's a tragedy.
Yeah, because he's falling right now.
Ah.
But as you were.
So yeah, the first time was an accident, and then I went to go investigate, and then I tried making a little bit of coffee when I thought that, okay, I thought I cleaned it out pretty well. I tried it again. Nope. Still tastes horrifically like burning plastic. And then after a while, I started purging out the water. I started purging out the water because I thought it was in the water supply of the coffee machine. It turns out it was
Right.
not. When I had a third sip of just plain water this time, I was like, no, this also tastes horrific. It turns out that there's a descaling process that you need to do every so often. And at the end of the workday yesterday, someone had turned off the machine halfway through.
Oh, Jesus.
So it still had all the descaling, like, chemicals and shit in it.
Oh, that's awful.
And when you turn it back on, there's no warning saying, like, hey, we've still got caustic materials in this coffee machine that you really don't want to have in it.
Well,
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Ibble.
Yep, I'm probably gonna die tomorrow or have horrific cancer within the next 50 years. Although, to be fair, I probably am gonna have horrific cancer anyway because of nuclear bombs.
Yeah, I'm sure during our time, someone will drop a bomb. But yeah, I took out the gargoyle by knocking him down first, and then I had some items on hand called Throw Blast. And they're basically like hand grenades.
Oh, that sounds fun.
And
yeah, go on, sorry.
they are how you cheese Bitter Black Isle. Because its damage is separate
Fixed.
from your damage.
Ah, okay, I see where this is going. Are they like
Yep.
magic grenades, or are they like old school gunpowder grenades? I'm just asking.
I believe they're old school. They're like pouches filled with gunpowder that explode.
Ah.
Oh, hey, by the way, she just warned me to not fall. Well,
Whoops.
rest in peace.
Take your own advice for once.
So the big treasure here is the Void Key, which lets us open up that one door all the way back at that one area where like all the Moonbeam gems are at.
Oh, that was spooky. For a moment there, I thought like my laugh from earlier was playing back through your speakers or something. I was like, is that me? Is that me?
Oh man, we got that one guy from YouTube days of old where he would go into random not Discord, but
IRCs?
Ventrilo servers, and would take bits of what people were saying and they would play it back and start pissing them off that way. This is probably before your time.
Probably, yeah. I wasn't YouTube active.
Oh Jesus Christ, you guys quit attacking the gigantic Cyclops.
Ah, they're very smart. Can it follow you into these narrow hallways? Like, will it bash its way through? I don't know.
So I reset the area so they would stop attacking him because he does eventually break out of his shackles.
Ah, I see.
And needless to say, that guy had like 11 health bars.
Yeah,
We
that did not
probably
like
don't want to.
Not quite. Not at this point. Maybe later you can come back and clown on him.
Yeah, maybe later, like a lot later.
Oh, like 20 episodes in the future. Dirty.
I'm hoping this doesn't last that long. Not that it's a bad game, but
You never know.
but
I
so
mean,
what is your opinion on multiple like status effects in a game and
at once?
the sheer volume of recovery items needed to handle them?
Is there no one universal item that's
There
like, probably
is,
super expensive, but
There is a panacea
Yep, that's the word.
item that is like pretty much your universal, but it is expensive and rare.
I see. Something tells me there's gonna be a segment which is just like 2 minutes of you drinking antidotes and stuff like that.
So the problem is with these little fuckers, these little maggots here, when
They
they
look like
die,
leeches.
they expel this
Disease gunk.
gas, and it lowers your it gives you a status effect that lowers your defense,
Ah,
and it lowers your defense by a lot.
fart boys.
Pretty much. So yeah, you see as he falls, and then just this. Oh, managed to knock that one off, thankfully.
And how many are
But
there?
yeah, these
Oof.
there's a lot, and they're fucking assholes because not only when you kill them, you get this status, this defense debuff, but then you walk over to another corpse of bones and stuff, and then another one leaps out at you and takes off like half your health.
Wow. Yeah, this sounds like something that's a massive pain in the ass. Status effects that like persist through battles, which I know isn't really the case here for like non-turn-based games, but in stuff like Pokemon and Final Fantasy, when the status stays through the battle, I'm just like, what the fuck? Just let it reset. I was gonna go to the Pokemon Center anyway. Speaking of, I hear Detective Pikachu's actually pretty good.
I was gonna go see it, but then I was like, a 30-year-old man going to a movie theater by himself to watch a Pikachu movie, probably not a great idea.
Don't you have a pretty young nephew?
I do have a 5-year-old nephew. I just don't think he can handle a movie theater, and I'm not like that kind of person who's like, oh, I'll take him anyways.
That kind of fun person.
By the way, I picked up an item called a lift stone. At any given time, we can teleport back to here using one of them.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, so it's always useful to carry one just in case as like an oh fuck button.
So is the Ariadne thread of Bitter Black Isle, I guess, which is from Etrian Odyssey. I don't know if you've ever played Etrian Odyssey.
I have not.
It's just a thing that warps you right back to town from the depths of the
Oh,
dungeon.
okay. And since we got some novelties, let's go ahead and purify them. And hey, I got a hidden augment. Unfortunately, it's not too great of a one. It just makes your lantern use oil up a little less.
It said greatly, so I assumed the effect would be big, but I guess not.
I mean, I guess it's big. It's just, you're never really hard up for oil. You're better off just carrying an extra bottle of oil than using up one of your augment slots for it.
Okay. I guess it'll be nicer if it was like
Because yeah, it costs 7,000 disciple points.
Wow. Never mind.
Yeah, it's hella expensive, and once again, you have to use up some of your limited slots. So heading on back to this area, I wanted to show off a nice little thing with Pawn AI. If you throw something that isn't hostile at them, they will pick it up and throw it back at you.
I smell esport.
Oh, whoops, sorry, grabbed the wrong thing. Welp. So yeah, deer, bunnies,
Throwing
pigs.
Oh,
It's great.
You know how back in the first episode I was talking about the game Nidhogg, and I never actually finished what I was saying.
Yeah.
Nidhogg is that fencing game. It's a PvP fencing game, and during lunchtime, I played against my friend, and there's a button that lets you chuck your rapier at your opponent, and we would get into matches, and we'll be like, okay, throws only, and we'll just like yeet rapiers at each other like from across the map, and it's like, okay, close the door. And then sometimes I close the door in time. Other times it just goes straight through us and closing the door and then get me in the head, and I die.
Oh shit!
But then you respawn. It's pretty hilarious. If you ever get anyone to play Nidhogg against, I suggest you try a throwing only match.
Throws only.
Throws only.
This reminds me of playing like GoldenEye, and you'd only put on timed bombs. Or mines, I mean.
That sounds hilarious.
So you used to be throwing mines at each other.
The thing about Nidhogg is that you can attack higher and you can attack low, which also means that you can throw higher, you can throw low, or throw middle actually, for that matter, attack middle. So you can like jump or crouch to like dodge the incoming thrown sword if you're good enough. So it's like you can throw your thing and then you crouch, but oh, they thought about that. They went low this time and said, I'm dead. Or the other way around. It's pretty hilarious mind games, especially because you respawn so fast that it's just like, okay, next throw. And then you can like respawn as they're running towards you. And then you just throw your sword and then they die. And it's all good funny games. I've been stricken.
So yeah, there's more of these little assholes around.
This is a really riveting episode of gameplay, isn't it?
But so I'm like, okay, shit. In the next room, you may have heard like the flapping of wings. There's a cockatrice in the next room, as well as a handful of goblins. I'm like, well, shit, I can't. We got that debuff. Anything's gonna fucking one-shot us. So I'm kind of hoping, okay, maybe if I can get the goblins in and we just pounce on him, and the motherfucker, he ran off. What an asshole. And I don't want to go out there because the cockatrice can't come in here. So I probably should have sped this up a bit, but I'm like, okay, can either, okay, now he's blowing the horn, so they're clearly aggroed on us. So they should be coming in at any point, right? And then I'm like, maybe I should just run on through. Oh, hey, now they're here.
We'll rout them in a single charge.
You really got into the mindset of the monster there.
I had to be smarter than the orcs or the goblins.
Yep.
And then we get close to the doorway here. Damn, you can't really see him, but oh, there he is. And then he just breathes right down the alleyway. And now we're all infected with petrification. Thankfully, in the last in that one room where I found the void key, I found some cockatrice liquors, which cures petrification to the whole party. Problem is, Kunthor died when she got infected. So if you die when you have petrification, you automatically petrify, and you can't recover a pawn who dies like that.
That's not good.
What is kind of cool though is that even the enemies can be infected by it.
Oh, wow, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that's without that defense debuff.
Hello there, Mr. Griffin. Griffin? Hippogriff? Griffin.
It's a cockatrice.
Oh, okay. I was wrong on both counts.
Oh shit, did one of them say the line yet? I think one of the pawns says, as soon as we walked in, Trish says, "It bears the head of a cock."
Wow, she's not wrong.
And she got infected again, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to bother wasting another curative on her because there's a safe zone just a little further ahead.
Oopsies.
So we'll just go ahead and bypass that.
Right. So do safe zones, they remove ailments?
Not exactly. Here, though, at the very end, there's a healing spring.
Right.
And I just want to show off. They do slowly become petrified. You'll notice like bits of her outfit is stone colored.
Ah, that's kind of cool. And
Yeah, so there's a
Oops.
healing spring here. If I can throw her in it, she'll be cured of the petrification.
If you can throw her in it.
For some reason, I can't seem to get her in.
NBA's gonna be calling you any day now, man.
And then she's she's moving hella slowly. And I'm like, come on, come inside of.
The healing spring.
And nope, there she is. She stopped.
Ah, can you not?
Still
Can you not do it now?
can't pick her up.
Ah.
I'm like, son of a bitch. Okay,
Well,
I got this because technically she's still alive.
technically.
So what if I go inside the rift? I mean, I need to dismiss them anyways because they're lower leveled at this point. But when a pawn dies and you're unable to revive them, they permanently die. When they get sent back to their player, they get a default 3-star ranking.
Is everything in order, Master?
So I just wanted to luckily she appeared in here, so I was able to properly send her off and give her, I don't know what I gave her owner, maybe it was like a rotten apple or something, I don't know.
You're so kind.
So we got some new pawns here. Now this healing spring is, if you have empty bottles, you can get spring water from it. And what that does is it restores HP to the whole party.
Oh, that's an interesting.
So pretty useful.
Yeah. Although it doesn't really make much logical sense. Are you just like throwing the water all over everyone, or?
I drink it and everyone just feels it. It's like one of those hippie things.
Well, now that you're standing in the water, I'm not too sure if I want to drink it.
And up here, there is another sculpture.
Oh.
But yeah, going inside the spring itself will also cure any negative status effects on you, and also gives you a status effect. If you look next to my health bar, there's like a superhero pose going on.
Yep.
That means I'm immune to any negative status effects for however long that buff is up.
Okay, that's very handy actually. Does the bottled version give you that as well? I assume not.
But the bottles do not though. But yeah, it's kind of useful to have this here, because then what I could do is come in here, have everyone jump in, and then fight the cockatrice, and it won't be able to petrify us for a bit.
But it's time I don't begrudge. My little obsession's half the reason for my wonder.
But there's also a Barrock point here, which is useful.
And he still sells you stuff.
He still sells stuff. Sadly, his inventory doesn't expand, but it's useful to have him around to deposit stuff. But there's one more thing, a very valuable thing in this area, and it's not the resting bench, though. That's helpful. There's also this notice board here, more quests I'm not really going to do. But this last quest here, though, is kind of weird.
Oh.
It makes a Gore Cyclops, which was that guy that was chained up, appear in an area back in the main game.
Oh, interesting.
And then down here, there's a whole bunch of throw blasts.
Woo! Time to eat your way to victory.
Yeah. This stuff does respawn, so you come back here every few, after so much time, and all those throw blasts will be back.
Okay.
I'll try not to rely on them, because it is kind of... And then I
to
ran up to this thing and throw a bunch of grenades at him again. Would be, boring pretty quick.
Yeah. You know, I kind of pity the random person who has to maintain that quest board down here in the middle of a dungeon. Because, like, who does that? Unless it's magic.
Here,
unless it's magic, I guess.
Maybe Barrock does it.
Maybe.
But there's a moonstone up there. Sadly, that does not respawn.
Okay. Yeah, I think you mentioned... They're the special chest keys, right?
Yep, pretty much. My first one is going to be this specific door.
Okay.
Because it has a very useful item. In fact, it's part of like a pro strat.
Is it a
the
Junior
key...
Goddess?
No. No. We get a ring here, Ring of Perseverance, and what it does is it increases discipline points by 50%.
Ooh, that sounds
so this
fun.
will Yeah, and that'll be very helpful because, you know, again, I'm not getting as much since everything's paying out so much EXP. Now, the pro strat would be to come here. It is possible to... first off,
Yep.
my pawn has the Inquisitor inclination, so I'm heading on back to fix it because at some point she literally said something to the effect of, "You handle the enemies, I'm gonna go after the loot." It's like, no.
Well,
No. We go after the loot after we kill the enemies, goddammit.
that's... No, I mean, sometimes you just really want to get that loot, don't you?
So yeah, the pro strat would be to go there, run past everything. It's entirely possible to just run past everything, and then get yourself that Moonbeam gem, grab the key, and then put the game in hard mode, which kind of does like a new game plus and restarts your game. And then you do it a second time,
Okay.
and you get a ring for yourself and your pawn.
Okay.
I am Mercedes. I've ordered.
So, to fix up my pawn's inclination, I gotta do the bit of the quest here. So let's just, you know, skip on ahead.
Dude, all this boring story stuff. Who needs story in their video games? Psh, only
Yeah.
nerds.
Story so boring, who cares?
Reading is for squares. Just skip. Hey, it's a snake thing.
Actually, it's a serpent
Oh, it's a Hydra.
or a Hydra, yeah, with multiple heads.
That's a Hydra, yeah.
Just as a tutorial boss, though, it
Okay.
kind of like teaches you the aspects of climbing and shit until you wound it enough and you cut off one of its heads and it just runs off.
Right. So this is back in main game, yeah, because this is very much not a dungeon.
Yeah. So doing this mission unlocks this guy, Jonathan, and you can buy inclination potions off of him.
Okay. Is it
And this,
random?
go ahead.
Is it random or is it like...
No, you can buy specific inclination potions to
Okay.
specify exactly what you want your pawn to have.
I mean, it sounds like the right kind of, what's it? It sounds like a good place to put in a shitty mechanic that no one likes.
Yeah, which I'm pretty sure is something they would do if they were to remake this game today. Well, they did remake this game today. If they were to make a second game of this series today. So yeah, he sells a few different items, like different dyes and stuff, and an item that lets you recreate your character. But I want these elixirs. And the way it kind of works is like you buy like 5 of your primary one, 4 of your secondary one, and 3 of your tertiary one. Because there is a third inclination, but the game doesn't display it for whatever reason. So I try to go for, I believe, Challenger, Scather, and Utilitarian. So
Right.
it makes my pawn go after the biggest enemies, and then goes after all the ranged ones.
Ah.
And then Utilitarian makes her act more on her knowledge of whatever she learned from the beast.
Okay. That's pretty cool.
It costs Rift Crystals, so that's what makes me really happy. I was able to get a whole bunch,
Yeah, it's
because
not-
it would be kind of a pain in the ass.
It would suck if it was regular gold, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I got her inclinations fixed back up. We're back in town, and god damn it, the bad guys respawn, so more of these maggots are here. But this time around, we're gonna head on up in this little spot right here. We can't access this area from the main courtyard, but I'd rather not aggro the griffin
Ah, okay.
or the cockatrice.
So we're solid snaking our way around. Except without a cardboard
Pretty
box.
much. Sadly, we cannot put on a chest and walk around.
Oh, can you imagine if there was a game where you play as like a mimic or something like that?
It's funny you say that. I've recently played an old MMO I used to play like 10 years ago called Mabinogi.
Oh, I like how we're both getting in on the old MMO front. Although mine's an old MMO that I didn't play when I was younger. I could though. But yeah, go on.
There is a mount you can get, and it's a mimic, and you could actually jump in it and walk around in it.
Mabinogi sounds like the craziest Korean MMO bullshit. Like
It's
gear
got a
gear
lot
that
of stuff.
just degrades as you wear it, and
Yeah,
I assume a lot of grinding.
a hell of a lot of grinding. Like, on one of my skills, I don't know if this still applies today, but back in the day, you had to have one specific skill. You wanted it to max out first because it was a pain in the ass to grind.
Right.
And if you were leveling other skills, the way the game kind of works is like, depending on your stats, other enemies are ranked from like weakest to strongest or something like that. But as you go further in on the levels of the skills, you need to kill enemies that are stronger than you.
Okay.
So if you're leveling everything else up, suddenly way harder enemies are the only things that will be considered strong enough.
Ah, okay. So
And
it
to
sounds
get
like,
that skill from 3 to 2, because it goes from 9 to 1,
right?
I would have to kill like 1,800 powerful enemies.
No biggie. No biggie.
Yeah, just no biggie. And it's like either you do it now and not level anything else, because I noticed I had like over 1,000 fucking ability points.
Right.
I was like, why did I never spend it? And I was like, oh yeah, that's right, because of the way the fucking leveling system works.
My bullshit Korean MMO of my childhood was Maple Story. Not Maple Story 2, Maple Story 1, because Maple Story 2 only
Right.
came out like a couple of years ago. Back when I was a kid, I lived in Southeast Asia, so I played Maple Southeast Asia. Sometimes I'd make a Maple Global account using like some proto VPNs that I barely understood as a kid, just to check it out. When I was in university, I had one of my I'm curious to try it out again, and I've got money, kind of, sort of things. But basically, Maple Global released a version of servers that was like, basically, you know how some private servers are like, okay, we increase the amount of money you get and you increase the amount of XP, that sort of thing, right? This was basically a legal private server. It was completely detached from regular servers, and like most of the cash shop non-cosmetic items were available in game and stuff like that. They were like harder to get, but you couldn't just buy them, which is nice. And then of course there's like the EXP boost and shit like that. So I tried it out for a bit, and then I just got really bored because it turns out Maple Story can scratch my nostalgia itch, but I didn't actually enjoy playing it anymore. RuneScape is my other nostalgia itch MMO that I sometimes resub for. I still have my original account from 2006. I've probably already talked about this before. But yeah, I basically, every year around January to February, for some reason, I always get an itch to resub to RuneScape to see what it's like. Mostly because I kind of want something to just grind, because it was nice to just grind and listen to podcasts. I still only got one level 99 skill this entire time. I got pretty close.
God
though.
damn.
But yeah. Ooh, that Minotaur?
So these are just goblins who are like real badasses. Like, they do a lot of fucking damage, and they have a lot of defenses.
Exciting.
What doesn't help though is that there's one that can cast spells, and they can buff the other ones. So here we go. Throw blast time.
Ooh.
Just one shot killed him.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, these guys are pretty fucking hardy. Just
Did you just
got
like
the spell cast?
Did you just pick up like an explosive pot or something and just accidentally blow it up? Or
Nope, I
something
picked up a pot, and then the magic caster just shoved a spire of ice up my ass.
Ah, I see. One of those times.
But there we go, 2 for 1 with a throw blast.
Nice. I love grenade efficiency.
And then I'm going to use a spell tomb here, which lets us cast a spell without having to be a spellcaster.
Does that like use up scrolls or something?
It's a consumable item. I'm not sure if the damage is based on your magic spells, on your spell stat.
I would assume not, otherwise it'd be kind of shitty.
Yeah, that's what I'm not too certain on.
This guy's a lot smaller than the others.
Yeah, smaller, but they can cast spells, which makes them way more fucking difficult.
Ah, the shitty wizard.
But yeah, I will say there's one thing I liked about Mabinogi was that when you went to compose your music, it just gave you a thing and you could copy and paste notes into it. So you didn't have to know how to fucking play music. You can find someone else and then just steal their fucking notes. And I'm like, man, I wish this was in Final Fantasy 14.
If only. If only Yoshi P would be so kind.
Meanwhile, looking through the goblin's cuisine here, moldy carrots, skulls, and there was a sour ambrosial meat, which is like the best stamina restoring item in the game.
Yummy.
And in fact, that one room with the giant cyclops also has a spot for it, so if you come back every few days, you can grab one.
Okay.
And I should mention, yeah, spoilage is a thing. If you carry a food item on you for so long, it starts to spoil.
Right.
You can pick up airtight flasks, though, and you could pop them in there, and they'll stop them from spoiling.
Some of the stuff that this game decides to, what's the word? That this game just decides to model is, like, pretty crazy, to be honest.
Oh yeah, it's great. Like, one of my favorite things to do, sadly I can't do it because there's no apple or grapes in this dungeon, as far as I'm aware, is to keep some apples and grapes on me until they start to rot. They become moldy, and then you combine them with water to make wine. And it was like my go-to healing item for the longest time.
Something tells me you need a bit more than that to make wine, but okay. I have a friend who brews his own stuff, and he likes to experiment. So, like, usually he makes a big batch of apple cider, which is normal, and then he makes a couple experimental batches, which are a lot smaller. Sometimes they turn out pretty well. Like, passion fruit iced tea turned out to be smelled weird, but quite drinkable. Actually, it was really nice. And then you get some bad ones like Ribena, which is like blackcurrant, watered down blackcurrant syrup, which apparently was not so great. Fermented Ribena, yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna end off this episode with. A story of bad juju.